Welcome to Show Off Saturday. Today we're showing off my system currently in my Chevy Impala car. A car that I got back on the road, all inspected, and believe me, there will definitely be a part 2 of that check engine light story. But now, I'm actually going to show off my current system, explain what everything is, and for those of you that know much about car amplifiers and speakers, at the end I have a couple questions, because I got some stuff happening with this system here. Now this is, believe it or not, even though it looks nice, it is a budget system. This A-Trend box I've had for a long time. And a box like this right now will run you maybe, like 150, but I only paid 80 for it, I believe, at the time. Oh yeah, and up there, there's Games. You might be wondering, what the hell's going on in your trunk? Well, I sell Games at the weekends at my store, and I back up my car and really load all these trays and video games there, for some of you that don't know that I sell stuff on the weekends. And a Chevy Impala has a gigantic trunk, so it's nothing to hold, 400, 500, 600 bits of media back there. Pretty awesome. And because the speaker box is here, an added benefit of having my system aiming to the front is that I don't have to deal with any of that stuff sliding around. So everything kind of keeps everything nice and snug. But yeah, this is pretty much a budget system. Depending on what your budget is, a system like this can be built for less than $500. Now, people can get extravagant with their systems. They can add ferrocapacitors, they can add all kind of different stuff. But I always keep mine pretty basic. It's always 2 tins in a big box and a reasonably powerful amplifier. And it's always a nice balance. 2 tins in a big box. The tins are not going to be too costly for you versus 12s and 15s. And I think they're very musical compared to 15s especially. And for 2 15s, you're going to need pretty much the whole trunk space. Now with 15s, you're going to get super, super lows. I'm more like the rock music and stuff of that nature, so I've just always run 2 tins. I'm not knocking anybody that runs bigger subwoofers. I just personally like 2 tins. Especially 2 tins versus a single 15 setup. I always run pairs of tins. Even any speakers, I run pairs. Now these speakers, I think right now currently are around 150 each, I want to say. So not cheap speakers, but they're Kicker Comp Rs. And you might notice they look a little bit different. That is because, I don't know if I've ever shared this, but this one speaker over here, about 2 years ago, I sadly had something in the back seat here, back before I had everything organized, that kind of slid. It was something I was going to sell in my store at the flea market, and it went right through that cone. And you see what I used was, I think, an epoxy or something like that. And believe it or not, even though it looks crappy, it holds together really well. And I tried to paint over that to make it look a little better. You can still see, of course, the big epoxy in the middle, but half the cone was discolored, and I said I'm just going to go ahead and paint it like in a dark gray. I painted this other one too to match it. Painted that to match it. The only bad side is I should have taped off the corners there, because you can see a little bit of the paint is actually flaking off on the corners. Not a big deal. I love the red stitching on these, by the way, and you can still see a little bit that says Comp R. I plan to at some point get a new set of these and probably put these in one of my other cars. But this is, the main car. The main car, the show-off car and everything. The one that I, like to give the most attention to and do the most modifications to. So these are about 150 each, so you're looking at 300. The box, well, maybe you might, with this setup, with an amplifier kit, might be close to 600. You can switch out these if you don't need a lot of bass for maybe regular comps, which are like $90 each. Just want something basic that still Sounds pretty good. You can still keep the same amplifier though. Just turn the gains down. Now the biggest surprise I've ever had when it comes to car audio is this amplifier right here, which needs to be cleaned up, definitely. It doesn't look like much, does it? I mean, compared to a 10-inch subwoofer, it looks pretty small. It looks pretty small, definitely. But this Razor, this is a small beast. It packs a punch. And yeah, I need to get the end caps to that. Something happened to one of them. I think it snapped or something. It's just cheap plastic. So I don't know if you can actually order those separately, or if I just buy another amplifier to use in another car, I'd take those or switch this out for another amplifier. When I got this amplifier, it was a Walmart special, $99.99. And it was actually to replace an amplifier that was actually more expensive that had an issue with a capacitor in it. And it was just not working. So I needed something just to kind of hold me over and give me a little bit of bass. I wasn't expecting much, man. I was not at all. I've had cheap amplifiers through the years, like Jensen's, stuff of that nature. But let me tell you, Power Acoustic, I think, is damn near the king of cheap amplifiers. I can't think of any other amplifier at a price of $100 that puts out as much bass as this little sucker right here. For instance, these comp Rs are RMS 400 watts. It's kind of weird because maybe there's somewhere I could look up the ported RMS. It might be 300, I'm not sure. So you need at least about 600 to make both of these pump. This, if I'm to believe it, it's not CEA certified. If I'm to believe the ratings on this, this ohm setup I'm running right now, which is 2 ohm setup, it supposedly puts out 900 watts. I don't really believe that. I do believe it's every bit of 600 watts. I mean every bit of 600 watts. Supposedly puts out 600 at 4 ohms. Maybe a little more than 600. I've had amplifiers kind of like this. I had an Infinity that was straight up 680. God, I love that Infinity. It was a silver brushed Infinity. Had nice blue lighting. Damn, if Infinity still makes amps, I might want to get me an Infinity. I like everything Infinity does. The door speakers, everything. But for $100, I think I've had this amp for about 3 years now, I believe. Yeah, about 3 years. And I might need to get another one. Because for some reason, I wired these up, and it still sounded okay. But on the heavy, heavy, heavy bass notes, I thought this one was farting. You know what I'm talking about if you put too much power to amplifiers? But that's not what it was, because I've always used these with these subs, and I never got a farting before. It started making that sound, and I didn't know what was up. But I thought, okay, I need to put some more Elmer's glue on this shit, because I'm putting a lot of watts to it, and I got to get something else on there, and that's probably what it is. But no, my shock is when I have this and this hooked up in parallel, at this amplifier, at the 2 ohm load, some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you are going to be lost. But you wire these in certain ways to get more power out of the amplifier, basically. When I have both of these set up, the protection light comes on, and it clips. And it starts to actually shut itself off. Which I'm wondering if that's more an amplifier issue or a speaker issue. Either could be the case, but in my history, it's always usually been maybe something connected wrong at the amplifier, but everything's pretty smooth there, so I don't think that's what it is. But it goes into protection mode. I'm thinking it could just be my gains. But I've never had the gains set up to a point where it was going into protection. So I don't really know what's going on, other than it might be an output just it's starting to go out or something like that. Weird thing though, this one, I just hooked this one up to it thinking, well, I'm going to get that farting sound, and it's this one. No, full blast, I'm not getting any farting sound. Nothing. But when I hook both of them up, I don't know, maybe it's too much power for these, believe it or not. If this sucker's putting out actually 900 watts, then that overdoes these by 100 watts. And if it's a ported box, then it does them by like 200 watts. So I don't know. Does anyone ever run these Kicker Comp Rs? Or has anyone ever run this Power Acoustic? It could just be the amplifier starting to go out. And if that's the case, I'm probably just going to go ahead and pick up another one of these $100 specials. One of these razors. And watch me do this. Watch me take the Walmart amplifier, hook it up, be careful not to scratch it, see if it does the farting sound on both of these, and if it still does, that means it's not the amplifier. If it's still going into protection, that means it's something in my wiring, and I'll take that other Power Acoustic back, but not before I take off the end cap. No, I wouldn't do that. I'd be a damn jerk to just buy something, take off the end caps there, and just return the amplifier. And if they ask, I go, fucker didn't have any end caps in it. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it sounded good just with the one sub hooked up. I was playing a song, Imagine Dragons' Thunder, I believe, which is a great bass song. It really is, even though it's a rock song. Amazing bass song. And guess what? No farting, even at full blast on that. So, yeah, that's my minor issue with this, is it clips when I have both of them hooked up at the same time. To any of you out there, definitely one person I can think of right now I've talked to about a little bit of car audio, sometimes in the comment section. Would that be amplifier issue or mostly a speaker issue? As always, thank you for stopping by and hope you're having a great weekend.